Yo, what is up guys, it was Akage here with part 3 of What If Naruto Had a Time Skip. So you guys have been waiting long enough, let's just get right into the what if.
Talk to me next. Look, dirty, big body Benz, I got you. Scoop on the kick, get it like a Mac. I can't fuck with these hoes, these bitches. I'm married to this, got niggas attached.
So we last left off with Team 7 encountering Zabuza Momochi on their way to the Land of Waves. And Zabuza is looking at Team 7, more specifically Kakashi, and he said, "So, I get to fight the copy ninja. This is gonna be fun." Naruto and the others were ready to fight, but Kakashi held out his hand to stop them, and then turned around and said, "Just watch, I've got this," and he lifted up his headband, revealing the Sharingan. Kakashi ran in to fight Zabuza, and they started going in an all-out brawl, going from hand-to-hand combat to Kakashi having to use the metal plates on the back of his gloves to stop Zabuza's sword. And he was going all out until Kakashi managed to knock the sword out of Zabuza's hand, but that didn't stop him from fighting. This just turned into a jutsu battle, and with Kakashi's copying ability with his Sharingan, he just kept copying all of Zabuza's abilities and they end up cancelling each other's out. And Kakashi would end up in the water prison just like in canon. And all this time, Naruto and the rest of Team 7, they're planning, thinking how they can help, and when they finally see this, they're ready to go into action. Naruto takes the lead on this one and runs straight to Zabuza, who made water clones to protect him, but this was really nothing to Naruto. He ran at the clones and they attacked him simultaneously, but he just ran right through them, and Zabuza and Kakashi are thinking if these are illusion clones, not that Naruto went intangible. And Zabuza, he's the most confused. He's sure those are physical water clones. But while he's thinking about what just happened, Naruto began skipping forward and punched him in the gut, causing Zabuza to fall onto his knees in pain and broke the water prison. Ino jumped in and took Kakashi back to the group, and Naruto jumped back and said, "Sasuke now!" And Sasuke, he's saying in his head, "Don't tell me what to do." And he weaved hand signs for a great fireball jutsu. And as it was about to hit Zabuza, he got Senbone thrown into his neck, and he fell over dead, also dodging the fireball. The whole team was confused what just happened, but that's when Haku decided to show himself, and he came out and explained that he was sent to retrieve Zabuza because of the amount of valuable information within his body. And Kakashi was really suspect of this behavior because normally they would outright burn the body as soon as they're there to, not allow the information to get out to other ninjas. And Kakashi is thinking that, well, he did kill Zabuza, and even if he weren't a tracking ninja, they aren't in any shape to keep fighting, because he is just completely ran out because of his Sharingan usage, and he doesn't want to put his team into unnecessary danger. So he tells Naruto to stand down, and they watch as Zabuza gets carried away by Haku. So with the threat taken care of, Naruto and the rest of Team 7 get ready to go on into the Land of Waves. So they arrive at a dock, and someone is there who takes them into a boat and carries them over to the mainland, and they go through a lot of mist. And Tazuna starts telling them about the history of the village and how that it's basically known for having this much mist. And when it finally clears, they could see the slums of what the Land of Waves has turned into because of Gato and his men. And speaking of Gato and his men, they can see from shore that some of his men are roughing up some of the kids in town. And Naruto, his blood is just boiling watching this. And so is Ino's and Kakashi's, while Sasuke, he's just indifferent, to be honest. So they arrive at the dock and they thank the fisherman for, carrying them over. And as they're walking to Tazuna's house, Naruto stops and he just can't stop thinking about what those men were doing. And Ino turns around and sees Naruto, and she just walks up to him and says, "Don't do anything stupid. I'll just tell them you lost something on the boat and you need to go get it, okay?" So Naruto, he nods and he turns around to go back to the sort of city area. It's not really a city, but the main area, the busiest part of the town. And when Naruto gets there, he sees the thugs, you know, they're roughing up kids, they're taking their monies, they're going around to stalls, just taking the fruits off the stands and starts eating them. And Naruto, he's just disgusted by this. Like, how can someone be just this cruel to people? So Naruto walks up to the thugs and he said, "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" And the thugs look at each other, then back to Naruto, and then start laughing. And the merchant that they just stole from, they're just like, "Kid, leave. These guys aren't to be messed with." Naruto, just hearing the hope being gone from these townspeople's voice, it just makes him even angrier. He reaches around to his back and takes out a kunai, and then he disappears from everyone's vision and reappears behind the two, and both their heads drop to the ground. And everyone's looking, they're in shock, they're like, "What did you just do?" And Naruto, he didn't say anything and simply said, "Take back your goods." And they had some money on them, so take that too. And Naruto starts walking off. The merchant that they stole from before, you know, Naruto killed them, he ran Naruto down just to thank him. He was kneeling down, thanking Naruto, basically at his feet. And Naruto said, "Get up." So the guy did, and Naruto looked at him and took out the kunai that he just killed those men with, and he handed it to him and said, "Don't stop fighting." And he walked off. The man just stood there at the blood-covered kunai and back to Naruto, and just thinking what this kid even is. He is their savior, and he doesn't even know his name. So Naruto makes it back to Tazuna's house, and when he opens the door, he sees everyone around the table. They're all eating good, bro. I'm telling you, Tazuna's daughter's cooking. I would kill for that, to be honest. So Naruto goes around the table and he gets a plate of food, and while they're eating, you know, they're having fun. Tazuna is telling his daughter about everything that Team 7 has done for them, and he is in their debt. And Inari, he's around the corner and he's listening in. He was about to come around talking about, oh, they're fake, you know, they can't do anything against Gato. But hearing his grandfather's recollection of everything that they've done, he's actually starting to appreciate them, because really and truly, if Team 7 wasn't around, Tazuna would frankly be dead. So during their stay at Tazuna's house, Kakashi would teach Ino and Sasuke tree walking and water walking, and actually Naruto would be teaching Kakashi a thing or two, mainly showing Kakashi how his abilities actually work, because he is their team leader, so it only makes sense, you know, for him to know. And also because Naruto is used to being at very high speeds, like when he skips forward in time consecutively, he's moving really fast. So he has experience to show Kakashi how he can improve his aim with the Chidori, because Kakashi has stated that it is very hard to control it or to even aim it. So these lessons would come in handy for what is to come next. So the team, they're at the bridge protecting Tazuna and his other workers, and they're, you know, patrolling the bridge, they're walking around. And that's when suddenly the same type of fog appeared covering the entire bridge. And this is a thick fog, and it moved in so quickly, it's really unnatural. So almost immediately the team knew what was to come. Zabuza came into view and he said, "Where's that damn kid? I want some revenge." And Kakashi said, "You'd have to go through me first." Zabuza chuckled and rushed Kakashi. Meanwhile, Naruto and the others could hear the fight going on from a distance, but had their own enemy to deal with. Haku ran at Sasuke, who promptly dodges and tries counterattacking, but Haku is way too fast. This time, Haku knew what Naruto and his team could do, and he wasn't going to hold back. He again went for Sasuke, but faster this time, and threw Senbon at him, missing his vital spots, but he fell over unconscious. And Naruto, seeing this, has had enough. He said, "You may be fast, but what are you going to do with someone faster than time itself?" And Naruto completely stops time. This time, he's sort of moving freely. It still takes a lot of energy to do this, but not as much as it did before, since he's been practicing. So Naruto moves towards Haku and he restrains her with some ropes he found from the construction site Tazuna was working on. And when Naruto resumed time, he chopped Haku in the neck, knocking her out. Meanwhile, Kakashi took care of Zabuza with a Chidori to the chest, and that was pretty much it. And after that, finally, Gato and his men emerge. And Gato starts taunting the dead bodies of Zabuza and Haku. And remember, Haku isn't dead, she's just unconscious. But she's awake to hear all of this, and she breaks through her bindings and rushes Gato and his men, basically doing what Zabuza did in canon, but completely massacring them without just a single thought. So after this, Haku allowed herself to be taken in by the Leaf Village as a prisoner because she really has no purpose apart from Zabuza, and he's dead, so she can't really do anything about that. So we fast forward to the next day and you see Team 7 along with Haku as a prisoner, and they're on their way to the Leaf Village. They will arrive within like less than a day, and they take Haku to Ibiki where he would imprison him. Before we move on, just quickly, just don't be in the comments being like, oh, he called Haku a girl. Bro, do you hear how much times I said he, him? Bro, just chill out. Okay. Just had to mention that because in God Key, people were ready to roast me at the stakes because I called Haku her or she like once. But anyway, the team, they go to Hiruzen and they tell them about the mission details and how that this simple C rank mission was far from it. It was at least B, maybe A rank, because they encountered Zabuza, which is in the bingo books. So let's just say Team 7 was paid handsomely for the mistaken rankings, or you know, Tazuna's lie. So a day after they returned, Kakashi would call them to the training grounds, and once the team is all there, he would tell them about the Chunin exams and how it's in 2 weeks, and you know, if they would want to go. Of course, none of them refused because who would pass up becoming a Chunin? So Kakashi leaves the three to go inform Hiruzen of this, and you know, they're on their own, and Sasuke goes off leaving Naruto and Ino, and Naruto was going off as well, but Ino grabbed his hand and said, "Please Naruto, can you train me? I don't know where to start." And Sensei isn't any help either. Naruto, I mean, he didn't see a problem with it, so he agreed, and the two started training. So over the 3 weeks, Naruto would have made Ino do the basic conditioning training, stuff you would see Lee doing, and has her practice all her clan abilities, then get into elemental jutsu. But with just 3 weeks, they didn't really get far into that. For Naruto, he practiced more of going into his parallel universe and getting a better control of ki. And we can't forget, you know, Sasuke. He didn't have any guidance while Naruto had a over 4,000-year-old purple alien training him, so Sasuke didn't make as much progress, but still he got a few fire jutsu under his belt. So the day before the Chunin exams, and Naruto told Ino to rest up, and she actually suggested they get a bite to eat together, and to Ino, you know, this was their first date, so she wanted Naruto to say yes, and you know, he did. He didn't really see it as anything. Naruto just wanted some sustenance. So they get to the ramen plug, you know, Teiuchi, best ramen in the entire Naruto world. And they sit down and Teiuchi's like, "Oh, Naruto, it's nice to see you." And he says, "Who's this young lady next to you?" Naruto just says, "A friend," and Ino hearing this was sort of conflicted. One, Naruto has never referred to her as a friend before, so that's a plus, I guess. But, you know, she wants to be more than that. And Ino just drops her head, and when Ayame brings over her bowl of ramen, she says, "Don't worry, Naruto is an idiot when it comes to things like this. He'll come around," and this reassures Ino. So they get their stomachs filled, and after, just head home to rest for the exams tomorrow. So the next day rolls around and Team 7 is at the academy ready to go in for the Chunin exams, the first stage. And as soon as they walk in, they are met with a crowd of Genins trying to get into the exam hall. But Ino actually realized and told the rest of her team that that sign is a genjutsu, and when they look at it, they also realize as well. So they head upstairs, and as they're about to enter the room that they were supposed to in the first place, Lee stops them and asks to duel Sasuke. And Sasuke is wondering what he wants to do with him because Naruto is clearly the strongest in the group. So Sasuke accepts and Lee starts telling him about the rules on how he can't use jutsu and only taijutsu, which to me still makes zero sense. How is that testing yourself? You have trained your whole life for taijutsu, while Sasuke, he barely trains, yet you only want him to use that. That is so unfair in my opinion. But hey, Lee, I guess he has something to get at. I don't know. So this fight goes basically to canon with Lee completely rocking Sasuke the entire time. And he hasn't even unlocked his Sharingan, so there's no him copying Lee's technique. Sasuke just got beat down. So shamefully, Sasuke walked away from the match to his team and they entered the first stage of the Chunin exams. And as they do, they walk into this room and it's completely surrounded by people from other villages and they're staring them down. So Team 7 find a corner to, wait in. Meanwhile, Gaara and his teammates, they're watching Naruto, and Gaara could sense something deep within Naruto, but he couldn't really place his finger on it. But soon enough, Ibiki comes into the room and instructs everyone to, go into the other room to take a seat, and it was sort of a classroom setting. So once everyone sits down, he starts explaining the rules of this stage, saying how that if you're caught cheating, you're automatically lose, you're gonna be thrown out. But after Ibiki outlined all of these rules, Naruto is thinking that this really isn't a test of your wit, it's a test of how you can steal information. And that must mean that there are people around with the answers already. So Naruto, he doesn't really need to steal, he basically knows all the answers. So as Ibiki starts, he starts writing down everything he knows, and by the 20-minute mark, Naruto is done. Like, this was a pretty hard paper, but with Naruto's expertise and experience, he basically has all of it answered. So at the 40-minute mark, Ibiki tells everyone to drop their papers, and he starts saying that there's the 10th question. But if anyone fails it, they will be barred from taking the Chunin exams ever again. And hearing this possibility, some people, they've trained way too hard to lose from just one question. So they decide to walk, and a lot of people walk. At least half of the remaining students just left, and Ibiki, he turns to the, people who stayed, and he said, well, there is no 10th question, you all pass. But before they could get even the slightest bit of time to celebrate, Anko comes crashing through the window, sending glass flying across the room and onto Ibiki. Ibiki, he was mad at this point, but he just brushed off the glass and said, they're all yours. Anko looked over the class and said, Ibiki, you went easy on them this year. There's like 10 or 15 more than usual. But at this point, she was talking to herself because Ibiki, he was already on his way home. Bro was tired. So anyways, Anko tells all of them to meet her at the gate of the Forest of Death. So they all do. They all head over, and while walking there, Naruto realized one of these grass shinobis acting really weird. Like he's licking his lips, just not something a normal person would do, but I guess they do it different over in the grass village, so Naruto doesn't really pay any attention to that. So once they get there, Anko explains everything they would need to know to win in her, part of the Chunin exams. Basically outlining the whole scroll system with the heaven and earth scrolls, and you need a pair of them, then go to the center of the Forest of Death, where there's a building. So enough of the explanation. Anko instructs them to get their scrolls and wait at their assigned gate, and they do. So after a countdown, Team 7 rushes into the Forest of Death, and Naruto immediately can sense someone close. Which is unusual because they literally just started, so there should be no one this close to them. So Naruto and Team 7 went to check it out. Once they get to the trees above this team, they see that it's a team from the Sound Village. and Naruto is wondering what they're up to, and while they're watching, someone else is watching them from a distance, and that's when Naruto could sense them also. Naruto rushed over to his teammates and pushed them out of the way when a massive snake came crashing down, breaking the branches they were on, and this alerted Team Dosu, the Sound Village team that they were watching, and they realized that they were being spied on. So Team Dosu, the snake, and a mysterious figure in the background came to attack Team 7. So how would they deal with all of this? Well, find out next time, because that is where I'm going to be leaving this one off. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. Also, channel memberships are up and members do get exclusive what ifs, so make sure to check that out. And if you like the what if, and if you like my content in general, subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next what if.